About 500 youth in Bauchi State have denounced thuggery and surrendered weapons to the police. The activity officially took place at the premises of the police headquarters in Bauchi. Government has promised to engage these youths in useful ventures to prevent them from returning to their previous vices. Our correspondent Hajara Aliu has this report.
These youths in the premises of Bauchi State Police Headquarters are here to voluntarily renounce thuggery, popularly known as Sara-Suka. Here are some of the dangerous weapons they used to carry. They were notorious for civil disturbances. Some were also used by politicians to unleash mayhem. But now, they say they want a better life, away from crime. The Chief of Staff of the Governor of Bauchi State is here to receive them. The Commissioner of Police Bauchi Command, Habu Sani, announces the carrot and stick approach to all members of Sara-Suka, but with the caveat that they must sign an undertaking.
We are here today to formally receive our over 500 repentant Sara-Suka youth who met the conditions set by the command. The command, though, is still open to those who are yet to repent, to see reason why they should toe the same line, as the command will not raise its hours to sustain fight against crime and criminality in Bauchi State.
The repentant Sara-Suka thugs claim most of them were forced into crime by unemployment. The government promises to create jobs to cushion the situation.
We are going to collect the data from the police. We already have our own data, but with this one we are going to harmonize it together, be able to differentiate what sectors of each of them, the traits that they are trying to move into. Some of them are already carpenters, some are welders, some are plumbers, and many other things.
Also here are community leaders who are pleased that their wards have turned a new leaf, with assurances not to revert.
We really get time to eat, get time to sleep, get time to go anywhere in this Bauchi town. You know, before now we're not getting chance that. So a lady like you, now when she came out, now somebody will just come and seize her phone. But now they have already stopped everything.
Perhaps this public display is an indication that the dark days of thuggery is fizzling out. Peace and safety is getting more entrenched in Bauchi State. Hajara Aliu, Channels Television News.
A new traditional ruler has emerged for the Owo Kingdom in Ondo State. Here's Prince Ajibade Gbadegeshin Ogunye, who was elected as the 32nd Olowo of Owo after he scored 14 out of 15 votes cast in the process held at the courtyard of the Olowo's palace. Before his emergence, Prince Ogunye has been a director of finance and administration in the Ondo State Civil Service. He succeeds the former ruler, Oba David Folagbade Olateru Olagbegi, who died on April the 17th this year. The Olowo-elect has promised to build bridges of peace during his reign. All foreigners living in the country beyond the 90-day amnesty period are now expected to legally formalize their stay using the newly launched e-migrant platform of the Nigerian Immigration Service. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, explains that the platform will assist the federal government in tackling cases of insecurity, as well as provide relevant data for national development.
It's a gathering that has a mixture of government officials, foreigners and paramilitary agencies, and the meeting is for the flag-off of the e-migrant center at the Office of the Immigration Service in Abuja. The e-migrant registration center offers an opportunity for all foreigners living in the country to formalize their stay after 90 days. The SGF is elated by this new initiative, stressing its key significance to national security and development.
These centers are significant to our drive for robust internal security and national development. Today's event reflects government's deliberate commitment to harnessing accurate data of its citizens and statistics of migrants, especially those who wish to stay beyond 90 days within the shores of Nigeria.
12 years of...
The Controller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service explains how the scheme will operate across all offices nationwide.
This data is very, very significant to national development. It's significant for statistical analysis. It's also good for our national security. Your Excellency, when you enter and commission this hall, you will find that it is a modern way of registration. I'm glad to state that the e-registration can be started online first. Migrants are free to start online through the web base. When they complete registration, they have to come and be captured biometrically and their photographs. Your Excellency, this registration is free. You have won, and I hereby warn all immigration officers not to charge any fee under any disguise from migrant because it is free.
And then it was time for the visitors and the Controller General to go around the center.
Of the use of the people of Nigeria and those that reside within our territory, and to the glory of God.
Here, it's time for a practical session. A few foreigners on hand were there to register. In all, the new initiative is one that many see as a new platform to store a database for everyone, irrespective of their nationality, and then this will serve as a pool for the Nigerian government.
The IEA predicts the return of excess crude supply. Kayode has that and other business stories.
You first. First Bank.
Well, that's right, Melinda, and you're welcome to Business News. The International Energy Agency expects the return of an oversupplied oil market next year, and this is despite the recent rollover of an OPEC-led pact designed to restrain any glut. This is coming a day after the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries projected lower demand for its oil next year. According to its report released today, the Paris-based intergovernmental organization predicts that global oil stocks could rise by 136 million barrels by the first quarter of next year, with current OPEC output levels at 30 million barrels. The IEA hints that an expected drop in demand for OPEC crude in the first 3 months of 2020 could see the group's production fall to 28 million barrels per day, which is its lowest level since the third quarter of 2003. Meanwhile, EcoBank has entered into negotiation with the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC towards an amicable resolution of issues concerning disengaged contract workers with the bank. According to a statement issued by the bank today, the lender explains that, quote, as a demonstration of its concern and compassion for the affected personnel of our contractors, palliative measures were put in place by the bank to cushion the effect on them, which include the payment of contract cessation packages of over £500 million already paid through their employers, as well as opportunity given to those with requisite qualification to apply to the bank for permanent employment, end of quote. It will be recalled that officials of NLC, in collaboration with its affiliate Nigeria Union of Banks, Insurance and Financial Institution employees, had picketed the head office of EcoBank on Victoria Island on Thursday over what they called non-consultation before EcoBank severed relationship with the contract workers. And the central bank says it has injected $298.71 billion, or million dollars rather, into the retail secondary market intervention sales segment of the interbank foreign market. The financial market regulator says it also injected 39.69 million Chinese yuan in the spot and short-tenured forward segment. Spokesperson for the central bank, Mr. Isaac Okorafor, explains that the intervention in US dollars were to meet requests in the agricultural and raw materials sector, while transactions in Chinese yuan were for renminbi-denominated letters of credit. The CBN says it remains committed to ensuring that all the sectors of the foreign exchange market continued to enjoy access to the needed foreign exchange. Meanwhile, Zimbabwe has become the 31st shareholder of the Africa 50, the Pan-African investment platform of the African Development Bank, whose 2019 annual meetings were concluded this week in Kigali. That's the Rwandan capital. In a statement issued today, Africa 50 thanks the government of Zimbabwe for the strong vote of confidence and look forward to identify priority projects to be financed in the country struggling with severe inflation and currency shortage. Africa 50 Chief Executive Officer Alain Ebobisse says the agency will do its best by working with shareholder governments to speed up projects financing and development on the continent. Let's head over to the NSE, where shares on domestic stock markets remain under pressure into the second week of July. And this is amid a slightly mixed performance as investors extend profit-taking in high-value equities. Edidiong Iwang tells us more.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Friday's trading session at the NSE ends the second week of July still in negative territory, down 0.51% as sell pressure continues unabated in key high-value stocks. The major components of the consumer goods sector, such as Nestle and Nigerian breweries, took the heaviest hit, which led to a 3.06% plunge on that counter. On the flip side, industrial goods and insurance ended positive, up 0.73 and 0.30%. Meanwhile, shares of lenders such as Zenith, Stanbic and FBN Holdings were the most actively traded for the day. Total turnover of shares traded on Friday were lower by over 80 million units at 100.37 million in 2,707 transactions. And these are the top three gainers and losers. Well, that's the stock market report for the day and the week. I'm Edidiong Iwang.
And thanks, Kayode. Time now for some international stories. Here's Simon Pusey with Around the World in 5.
Good evening from the Channel's newsroom here in London. Tensions between the UK and Iran have increased yet further after Britain brought forward plans to send a second warship to the Gulf. HMS Duncan is currently in the Mediterranean and is expected to join HMS Montrose in the region next week. It comes after the UK government said Iranian boats tried to impede a British tanker in the Gulf on Wednesday. Meanwhile, Iran has reiterated calls for the UK to release an Iranian-owned oil tanker, which was detained by Royal Marines in Gibraltar last week. The relationship between the UK and Iran has become increasingly strained in recent weeks. Analysts say the UK's policy towards Iran is increasingly matching that of the United States.
The UK is definitely following the general US policy trends on Iran at the moment, and at least that is how Tehran is perceiving the UK action. And its drive to push forward with the sort of harassment that happened in the Persian Gulf waters is sort of an attempt to build a wedge between the UK and the US to signal to the UK that it really does not desire confrontation with the UK, but that it's ready to challenge it and then to measure the UK response.
Turkey has received the first parts of a Russian S-400 missile defense system, despite opposition from the US. The shipment arrived at an airbase in the capital, Ankara. The move will anger the US, which has warned that Turkey cannot have both the S-400 anti-aircraft defense system and the US F-35 fighter jets. Turkey and the US are NATO allies, but Turkey has also recently been establishing closer links with Russia. Sudan's military rulers say they have thwarted a coup attempt involving several army officers. Jamal Omar Ibrahim, the head of the Transitional Military Council Security Committee, said on TV that a number of retired officers, as well as officers still in service, had tried to undermine the agreement between the military and the opposition to share power for 3 years ahead of elections. The Military Council and a coalition of opposition groups agreed last week to share power for 3 years, bringing thousands onto the streets to hail a first step towards ending decades of dictatorship. Families of victims of the Philippines' war on drugs have publicly welcomed the Human Rights Council resolution to set up an investigation into the mass killings. President Rodrigo Duterte's government has carried out a brutal crackdown on drugs in the country. The authorities deny the executions have taken place and say all 6,600 people killed by police were drug suspects who were all armed and had resisted arrest. Activists say the toll is at least 27,000 and the police are terrorizing poor communities.
The junkets didn't work. The bullying didn't work. The reprisals didn't work. And if the Philippine government continues to shun this process, then it should stop its hypocrisy and resign from the UN Human Rights Council.
Louisiana residents are busy preparing for heavy rain and storm surges. It's after President Donald Trump declared a state of emergency in Louisiana. It's after a large waterspout on Lake Pontchartrain was filmed from New Orleans. Tropical storm Barry could strengthen into a hurricane by Friday night or early Saturday, when the center is near the coast of Louisiana. Heavy rains, storm surges and hurricane-force winds are expected. Nearby residents packed sandbags with hopes of staving off rising waters from entering their homes and businesses. The UN Secretary-General has called on the international community to provide more aid to Mozambique. Cyclone Idai and Cyclone Kenneth struck just 6 weeks apart, flattening cities and villages earlier this year. They were followed by devastating floods in one of the worst weather-related disasters to hit the southern hemisphere. Speaking to reporters after meeting Mozambique's president in the capital Maputo, Guterres said the cyclones were a consequence of climate change. The Grammy Award-winning singer R. Kelly has been arrested in Chicago. Citing unidentified law enforcement officials, NBC News says the R&B singer has been given federal sex crime charges. The Chicago Sun-Times is reporting that Kelly faces a 13-count sex crime indictment. The R&B singer has vehemently denied abuse allegations for decades. In 2008, he was tried on child pornography charges and found not guilty. And finally, the usually quiet tobacco planting and agricultural area of Tongren City in Guizhou province in China has seen a huge upturn in tourism for a highly unusual reason. 6 giant pumpkins, the largest measuring 110 centimeters in diameter and weighing at least 400 kilograms, have been attracting visitors to the Jiufeng Agricultural Exposition of Wanshan. And that's your international news around the world in 5.